these are we will explain a little bit more afterward, but these are very important symbols in the Dzogchen teachings. Very often, even though even though you look at this book, it seems like a very thick book. But the way in this teaching explains, and the essence in Dzogchen teachings in this Xiangyun Yinju, it's pretty very simple. I mean, it's not simple to understand, to realize, but not I mean, it is nothing much to conceptualize so much. It's just more you get it or kind of you don't get it. You know, it's like that. So, but there are also one of the uniqueness about this cycle of teaching is explained through symbolically. So it was talking about like a peacock feather. You know, so if you see what the peacock feather is, it's called hundup, like spontaneously perfected. That means if you look at the color and the beauty of the peacock feather, it's kind of natural phenomena. It's not some creative artist went to university, got the degree and practiced many and then learned to paint this. No, it's just a naturally arising phenomena of beauty. For that, it's like that means if you look at this symbol, you understand what hundup means. Hundup means naturally, spontaneously arising quality. So yesterday we talked a little bit about idea of that, you know, the lights are perfected within us. Lights are naturally in us. You don't have to light the light. It's just naturally to us. And then naturally, something that we all look for in our life is with purpose, a meaning in our life, joy in our life, peace in our life, love in our life. It's a natural phenomenon. We all look for it. And when we look for it, usually it's a job, it's the relationship, it's the security, financial security, whatever it is, something we always look for outside something. But again, it's naturally perfected within us. Those perfections are realized. What can come out is not, it won't be, whatever is necessary in a life to inquiring something in our life. It's much easier to inquire things in a life or happen in a life, or it's already there in our life. And to realize it is much easier when we have that connection of spontaneous perfection quality. This one, we say Pema, lotus, symbol of lotus. So symbol of lotus is that nature of mind. It's like if you look in a pond, in the muddy pond, you see beautiful, spotless lotus flower. That if you look at the way it's growing, there might be a lot of mud. But if you look at the flower itself, there's no any spot of any impurity of the mud where it's growing, because itself is always pure. So if you look at the moments that we go through our crisis of birth, age, sickness, death, confusion, whatever emotion, negative emotion we go through, but our essence, this inner light or inner flower, is always spotless. It has never get affected by any experiences you're having around. But you're having these experiences, all these emotional experiences around, but the purity is always there. So it's the question about a little shift between, yes, I feel it this way, but I am not that. I am experiencing this thing, I am not that. Shift. A shift. This shift, a very simple shift, but still it's a shift that somebody needed to shift those things, right? So that the symbolic of purity is that we are like this spotless, pure lotus. The light is there. And then this is spontaneous perfection, hundup. This is primordially pure, kata, symbol of kata. And this is self-arising wisdom, mermi, self. So it's like a self-clear, symbolism of self-clear. If you look candle, if it's a dark, it does two things. It clears itself and it clears the environment around it. So usually we think about when we use the torch, we are not trying to look at the torch. We are trying to look at some object. But the torch also does one thing very important to us. It illuminates itself. The symbol is not to see something else. The symbol, this light is when you lit light in the dark, you see itself clear. So our awareness is not like trying to understand the confusion of the world. Our awareness is to understand who we are. And that awareness then illuminates the confusion around, within, and everything out. So that self-clear, it's called self-clear. It's not like illuminating, but self-illuminating. That make sense? Because it does two jobs, right? One, it clears the environment. That's not main symbol of, the meaning of the main symbol is not trying to clear the environment. The meaning of symbol is clearing self. That I can see myself clear. In very practical sense in our life, what happens, we are very often, one of the biggest problem is are not clear within ourselves. We are not very rested within ourselves, but we are trying to fix the problem outside ourselves. So for example, just think about it, like even in a relationship, if you know who clearly you are, you will not have a difficult to relate with anybody. But if you don't know who you are, you're trying to figure out someone else. That's the problem of relationship. The many relationship problems is trying to figure out somebody while you are not have figured out yourself. The sequence of process is opposite, right? How many of you are trying to figure out someone else? You're trying to figure out your husband, wife, your father, mother, your colleague. You're trying to figure out somebody else. So I always say, just forget about figuring out somebody else. Even you figure out somebody else, and next year they will be different. So what is the purpose of figuring out anyway? They change. So we talk about this, figuring out changeless essence. Not unceasing manifestation. Nothing to figure out unceasing manifestations. Nothing to figure out. You just have to accept what is, no matter how bad it is. That's what it is. The moment you say, this is what is, you feel peace. You're not saying it's good. You're not saying, I wish it's not something different. You're simply saying, this is what is now. And have peace with it. The moment you open yourself, that's what it is. So this illuminating, it symbolizes that. And this symbol is the symbol of, we call Shilgung or Sangtal Dutsu. Sangtal means penetrating wisdom. So it's ability to see in and out. So transparency, I guess it's more like a transparency. Idea of awareness of self should be more transparency. It's not like something looks like something, but it's something different. No. You see in and out. Maybe you can say it looks like this, but it is like this. So you know what it looks like, and you know what is. You cannot, many times we live in the world of what looks like. We don't live in the world what is. When you live in the world what is, you have a peace. But when you live in the world of what should look like, you don't have a peace. And when you know both, you have a little more peace. That's what it is, right? That Solon is talking about them. Nang tsul dang ne tsul. Nangwa means how it appears and what is. Nang tsul dang ne tsul is called a very important term. So this is a symbol of transparency. So some sense of insight, contemplating. There's some sense of like a crystal. And when I say it's like a crystal, it doesn't mean that it has to be perfect. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect. In your perception, you don't have to be perfect. It's what it means is ability to embrace fully what is, or ability to embrace fully the imperfection. If I'm feeling pain, ability to embrace that pain fully. That's the transparency. Ability, there are people think about many situations in life. It's interesting, some people say something like, oh, this person is very sensitive. And it's true. If you talk about one topic, it's very sensitive. People say, just be careful we're talking with this person. Don't talk about this topic, because this person is very sensitive about this theme. Right? The same theme, if you look somebody else, is somebody that's talking all the time as a mega profession, making money out of talking about that same sensitive issue. Called, comedians. People do that. Right? Successful comedians. But one person, you can never talk about it. But what is this? One is embracing it fully. One is totally getting disconnected with that sense. So, in the same thing, so be a good comedian of your issues. Make joke out. If you're not making money, it's okay, but at least it's a lot of laughter. Right? So that sense of transparency is something, it's okay. Just speak it out and make it fun and make it light and nothing, no big deal. And if you're able to just say it out one time, next time it's much easier. Next time you don't even have to say it. And next time if somebody else is saying, you care less what they're saying about that issue. It's not important, because it's the sense of in and out is clear. It's illuminated already. This one, like a mirror-like wisdom, you have heard among 5 wisdoms. So mirror-like wisdom, this is also the same thing. When you look at it in the mirror, what does mirror do? Mirror doesn't fix you. Mirror shows you what it is. And your ability to say, okay, your ability to say, I need to change something, your ability to say, I don't need to change, it's your job. How is your life? My life is fine. Or how is my life? My life needs little change. As His Holiness said yesterday, also talking about the David's question about should we guide, or should we leave it as it is? That question is very good question, but it's a very individual question. When you're open, spontaneous experiences happens. When you're open, you fall in love. When you're open, you're happy. When you're open, you see solution. When you're open, you connect. These all experiences are as a result of openness. It's not an effort of openness. But when you are not open, then you have to look a little bit more closer, look a little bit more deeper. Then you might see something. Then you have to cultivate, because they're not coming out spontaneously. So then you don't leave it as it is. You have to cultivate a little bit. So the mirror-like wisdom is, it's kind of seeing what it is. And in a way, it's like a valuing what it is. And also in some sense of, a truth, a conventional truth in our life. It's funny, like when we grow up in the monastery or something like that in Tibet, there's no critic that you pay to, or consultant. There's no profession called consultancy or something like that. In the West, this is a big market, right? You have to pay somebody to criticize you. But if somebody criticizes for free, then you don't like it. Right? So I tell you all the wrong things you're doing in your life, how you can improve. Thank you so much. A lot of thousands of dollars. Yes, you're happy. But if somebody, loved one, tells you what you're doing wrong, you don't like it, right? So the idea in the truth is, on a professional level, you're curious about to know what's not working. Every healthy community, every healthy relationship, there's some sense of that curiosity to know what is not working, what is the need of other person, true need of other person, not what I like. So those are quality of some sense of willing to know the truth. The mirror is like that. It's just, I'm curious. I might not like it, but I wanted to know. I wanted to know. I wanted to know myself. But deep inside, you know, you will be, when you know yourself, you will fall in love. When you know yourself, the life will change. When you know yourself, the effort is not there. When you know yourself, the spontaneous healing, remissions, everything, it's right there. So these are all a simple and very symbolic meaning of the same essence of ourself. So this is just kind of look at this, understand the spontaneous perfection, primordially pure, self-illuminating, transparency, what is, and this is the same way as the lotus, but I think a fresh flower is more fun. Okay, so read lines, sit in with those essence as much as you can, and listen to the voice, connect with that lineage, transmission, blessings.